Okay, Redshift architecture. Cluster. Two types of node, single node and multi-node. In multi-node, have a leader node is master. Manage communication or connection with client application. Receive the queries. Create a query execution plan. uh, and coordinate with the parallel query execution across the compute node. Compute node is slave. Store the data and performs query execution in parallel. Each compute node includes its own CPU, memory, and storage. Node slices. Each compute node is divided into slices. Each slices is assigned to portion of available CPU, memory, and storage resources. The number of slices per node depends on the node type. Optimization technique. NPP, massively parallel processing, columnar storage. Redshift uses the columnar storage format. It stores data in column rather than rows. This will allow for efficient compression. Optimize query performance, retrieval of data. Retrieve only column needed. Data distribution. Redshift distribute the data among the slide using distribution key. Okay, this is suitable for joining the table on distribution key. It's minimize data movement during the query execution. Sort key. Data can be stored on one or more columns. Sorting data can improve query performance, especially for large range restricted query and joins. Redshift spectrum. We can analyze a large data set in data lake S3 without loading data into Redshift. Data is not loading on the cluster. Advantage. We can query data without loading, cost effective, scalable, work with multiple data format, materialize view. Okay. Are pre-compute query result store for faster query performance, particularly useful for aggregation and complex queries. Memory management in Python. Redshift vacuum. By using copy command, we copy the data S3 to Redshift. This is the file format. What is the system table? It will store the data of STL load error. STL load error means schema mismatch. Schema mismatch means STL load error. Unload command Redshift to S3. This is the path IAM role and external schema. This is the copy command, create S3 bucket, upload and Redshift input. Lots of things are there. Redshift spectrum. Okay, this is an example of table. Data validation with Athena. File format supports in Athena, CSV, TSV, ORC, JSON file, Snappy, gzip, automated ETL job. How to automated deploy the script and let's issue or error faced in AWS Glue ETL job. IAM role configuration error. Not given required permission. Solution is give required permission. Job timeout. Increase timeout value for long running job. Or we can do partition data for faster processing. Long running job. Solution data partition, correct configuration, Lambda error, forget to deploy a script. STL error, STL load error problem. When there is a schema mismatch while inserting data from S3 to Redshift using the copy command. Solution: create a proper table with schema. How to handle incremental data in AWS Glue ETL job. Firstly, job bookmark. It will keep the track of previously processed data and identify new data from the last successful run. Timestamp based filtering. Identify the filter based okay. Identify and filter data based on the timestamp using the AWS Lambda function. Automate the glue job execution based on S3 event. If the driver program memory is not enough, then worker node. This problem we can face: out of memory error, slow down performance, execution time increase, failed job. Efficiently memory for broadcast large dataset during a join. Solution: increase driver memory. AWS Glue adjust the Spark driver. Spark use driver memory flag when starting the application. How to optimize the code? Use lazy transformation and action. Cache frequently used datasets. Repartition data for efficient distribution. Use a proper worker type. Use a join strategy. For data size 10 GB. Okay. Data size is 1 GB. Worker node use 1 G1.x. This is 1. Okay. याच्यामध्ये सगळं दिलेलं आहे. ठीक आहे, कोणता कसा वापरायचा. Lineage in PySpark. If node failure occurred, then Spark can be the lineage information to recompute lost or corrupted partition. How do you handle tight deadlines and pressure? I try to stay calm and not get too stressed out. It will help me to think better and keep team in good spirit. Stay positive. I remember the situation where we had a tight deadline before and how we get through them. RAG status. RAG means red, amber and green. Okay. How do you ensure data quality and integrity in data pipelines? I use technical several techniques such as data validation check, cleaning process like remove nulls, duplicates and error handling mechanism. Try and accept handling, monitor and troubleshoot and logging. Can we run multiple jobs at a time? Yes. Maximum concurrency is 10. KMS. KMS is key management service. This is all the standard worker type. This is general purpose worker type. We use average computational needs. Memory per worker 16 GB, CPU 4, disk storage 15 GB. G.4x worker type. Glue does offer G.4x worker type, which is a design more demanding workload that require higher memory and compute power compared to G1 and G2 worker type. G4 worker type, memory per worker 64 GB and CPU per worker 64 GB. When we use G4 worker, high memory and compute workload suitable for job that process very large data set, require more incentive computation or work with complex transformation that need more memory and processing power. Large distribution process. If ETL job needs to scale across the multiple nodes and perform complex operation like large scale data joins, aggregation or machine learning, then G4 worker node is good choice. This worker type is beneficial for maximizing performance for heavy duty ETL tasks, but can be more expensive than smaller G1 and G2 worker type. Okay, then this is the way S3 to Redshift create a within cluster. Okay. Amazon RDS. RDS is MySQL database, right? Then architecture SQL to S2 to S3 SQL to S3 Redshift. AWS Glue. It is a serverless data integration and ETL services used to discover, prepare, and combination of data processing for data analysis, machine learning, application development, supports Python and Scala. Glue component, AWS Glue console, data catalog, crawler and classifiers, ETL operations, job scheduling. Advantage of Glue: serverless data integration and ETL services, triggered by scheduler and events. Cost is effective. Okay, automatically generate ETL data pipelines code using a Python or Scala. Disadvantage: only support Python and Scala for modifying ETL script. We can integrate only AWS services. Bucket versioning: it's allow you to maintain multiple versions of object files in the same bucket. When the versioning is enabled on bucket, every time an object updated or deleted, the older version are preserved rather than overwritten or removed. This feature helps data protection, recovery, and managing object change over time. Classifiers: in AWS Glue, when creating crawler, a classifier is a mechanism used to infer the format, structure, and schema of the data stored in various repositories. A classifier helps Glue understand how to interpret your data by identify format like JSON, CSV, Parquet, etc., and determining the schema, data types, column names. Yeah. Amazon S3 simple storage service. What is the Amazon S3 and how it works? AWS S3 simple storage service is scalable object storage service that allow user to store and retrieve any amount of data at any time. It is designed for durability, scalability, and security. Data in S3 is stored in bucket, which are containers of object files. Objects can be accessed using HTTP protocols, and S3 provides features like versioning, lifecycle policies, encryption, and access control. What are the different classes in S3? S3 offers several storage classes optimized for data for different cases. S3 standards for frequently accessed data. S3 intelligent tiering automatically move data between two access tiers based on the changing access patterns. S3 standard AI infrequent access for data that access less frequency but require rapid access when needed. S3 one zone IA for infrequently accessed data stored in a single availability zone. S3 Glacier for long-term archival and retrieval, timing ranging from minutes to hours. S3 Glacier Deep Archive for long-term archival and retrieval, times up to 12 hours. How does S3 handle security? S3 ensure data security through the several mechanisms. IAM policies grant permission to user and role for specific S3 action. Bucket policy control access to entire S3 bucket. Access control list provide grant control object level encryption. S3 support server-side encryption like SSE S3, SSE KMS, SSEC, and client-side encryption, logging and monitoring. AWS Cloud Trial and Access Log can monitor access and detect suspicious activity. What is the durability and availability of S3? Amazon S3 offers 99.99 durability for object and 99 availability over given year. Durability means that the data stored in S3 is a highly resistant to data loss. S3 replicates object across the multiple devices and multiple availability zone in the region to ensure durability. How can you optimize cost in S3 using a lifecycle policy, transactional object to cheaper storage classes based on age and expiration rules. S3 intelligent tiering automatically move data between frequent and infrequent tiers based on uses. Data compression, store compress object to save storage cost, delete unused data, regularly clean up old or unused data to avoid unnecessary storage cost. AWS Glue. What is the AWS Glue? AWS Glue is fully manual ETL extract transform load service that make it easy to prepare and transform data for analytics. It's automated much of the ETL process, can catalog, clean and prepare data for a variety of source. For analysis, using AWS services like Amazon Athena, Redshift or Apache Spark. What is a Glue data catalog? The Glue data catalog is the central metadata repository where AWS Glue automatically store information about the data source, transformation and targets. It serves unfiltered metadata there for managing data schema, table identity, table defines and data location. It can be integrated with services like Athena, Redshift Spectrum for data query. How does Glue handle schema changes? Glue supports schema evaluation, which means it can detect the changes in the structure of undelaring data and update the schema in the Glue data catalog. However, schema changes that affect the underlying data type of our structure. Example, changing our string column to integer may need additional handling to prevent query errors. What are the Glue jobs and how they work? Glue jobs are scripted by AWS Glue to perform ETL tasks. These jobs can be written either by Python, PySpark or Scala and are used for transform and load data from one source to another. AWS Glue can be scheduled, triggered based on event or execute on demand. What is a Glue crawler? Glue crawler is a tool to scan data storage like example S3 or DynamoDB to infer the schema and data structure automatically. Once a crawler runs, it populate the Glue data catalog with the table definition, making data ready for query. Just a minute. AWS Glue Crawler. What is the purpose of crawler in AWS Glue? The primary purpose of crawler in AWS Glue is to automatically scan data repository like S3 bucket to infer the schema, data format, and structure of storage data. The crawler then populate the AWS Glue data catalog with this metadata, allowing the data to be easily query services like Athena and Redshift. What type of data format can a glue crawler recognize? A glue crawler recognize very common data type format like JSON, CSV, Parquet, ORC, XML. Okay, and what are the classifier in glue crawler? Classifier are tools that help to glue crawler understand the format and the data structure. Glue provides built-in classifier for common format like JSON, CSV, Parquet. If the data doesn't match with the built-in classifier, you can create a custom classifier using Grok pattern, XML and Python script. How does Glue crawler update catalog? When the crawler learns, it scans the data source from S3, identify the format and schema of data using classifier, create or update in a AWS Glue data catalog with the discover metadata. If schema has changed, example new column, the crawler can update existing table with the new schema detail. How would you handle schema changes in your data using Glue crawler? AWS Glue crawler can handle schema changes automatically if new column are added to dataset. The crawler will update Glue data catalog with a new schema. For more complex change such as column type alteration, you may need a write custom logic in your Glue jobs to handle the schema evaluation and or ensure backward compatibility for your query. This is the steps loading S3 to Redshift. Look at that. तक मैं पानी पीता. AWS Glue crawler. And a Glue crawler is a tool automatically detect data from different sources like JDBC S3, extract its schema and store it into AWS Glue data catalog. It's a create updated tables, the data catalog with metadata information such as column, data type, and partition. What are the data source support AWS Glue crawler? AWS Glue crawler can crawl the following data source S3, JDBC source like RDS and Redshift, Amazon DynamoDB, AWS Glue data catalog tables, AWS Marketplace or Lake Formation data lakes. What are the classifier in Glue crawler? Classifier help help a glue crawler recognize format your data. Glue provides default classifier format like a JSON, CSV, Parquet, and Avro. If data is in a custom format, you can create a custom classifier using Grok patterns or Python script. How does Glue Crawler handle partition? Glue Crawler automatically detects the partition if the data is stored in a partition format. Example like year, month, and day. The crawler use common format naming, converging the specific format, have style partition to detect partition and map them using a Glue data catalog. What are the options available for specifying output of crawler? Crawler firstly create a new table. The crawler will create new table into data catalog for each data set in it. Crawl update existing table. The crawler can update existing table with a new data schema information and a new partition. For partitioning data, the crawler will add a new partition the existing table schema. How do you schedule Glue Crawler? You can schedule and Glue Crawler to run specific intervals such as daily or hourly. This is useful for continuously updating Glue data catalog as a new data arrives. How does Glue Crawler handle schema changes in the data? Glue Crawler are designed to detect schema changes such as new column, data type, or partition changes. They will update the schema in the data catalog accordingly, either adding a new columns or uh, changing the data type where necessary. Can Glue Crawler across multiple regions? No. Glue crawler are region specific. They can only crawl data source in the same region where they are created. You would need to separate crawler for different AWS regions. Apre. What is a AWS Glue ETL job? An AWS Glue ETL jobs has serverless jobs that allow you transform, clean, enrich, and load data from source to target, such as from S3 to Redshift. It's run on Apache Spark. What are the different types in AWS Glue? Python shell use lightweight jobs, doesn't require Spark, suitable for small ETL jobs or simple Python script. Spark for distribution processing, used when handling large dataset with support for both Python and PySpark and Scala. Raise AWS Glue now support Raise for Python-based distribution machine learning workload. What are the different data source options in AWS ETL job? S3, JDBC, Glue data catalog. What are the transformation can apply in Glue job? Glue job provide very transformation like a mapping to map one schema to another, drop field to remove unnecessary column, join to join two dataset together, filter to filter row based specific condition, pivot and unpivot, to transformation data into different structure. What is a bookmark in AWS Glue? Bookmark in AWS Glue allows job to track process data. They help incremental job pick up where they left off. For example, when reading from S3 bucket, Glue will remember which file has been processed or only process new file. What are the most important parameters to configuration while creating ETL job? IAM role. The role Glue assume the read from source and write to target. Job type. Whenever it's Spark job, Python shell, and Ray job. Number of worker. Number of worker to run the job. More workers can paralyze parallelism the job. Okay. Worker type standard G1, G2, which determined amount of memory and CPU available per worker. Job bookmark whenever the enable job worker functionally handle incremental data processing. How do you monitor ETL job? You can monitor Glue ETL job via CloudWatch log. Glue stream logs to CloudWatch, which can be viewed in CloudWatch console. Glue console. The Glue job console show job status, history, and metrics. Amazon SNS. You can set up a SNS notification for Glue job failures or completion. What are option handling errors in AWS Glue job? Error handling using you can try accept blocks by in a PySpark code to handle error. CloudWatch alarm. Set up CloudWatch alarm to trigger notification when job fails. Retry option. Glue support job retrieve if it's fail, which can be set a job configuration. Dead letter queues for streaming job errors can be captured by DL queues. What are the different coalesce and repartition in Glue? Coalesce is reduced number of partition in the data frame without causing a shuffle. Typically used when the reducing partition. And repartition reshuffle data across the partition, and it can be increase or decrease the number of partition. It's useful when needed balance partitioning and parallel processing. What are Glue concurrency limits? By default, Glue concurrency 10 concurrency limit. This is the limit that can be increased by a service limit increase request to AWS. Understanding core expression. This is the expression back to meet find 1000 asteroids. This is done K. For automation.